right, hey everyone, let's get right into it. You know, this Snow White remake, it's got everybody talking. You guys sent in a whole bunch of articles.
Oh,
So
yeah, it's definitely causing a stir.
a $200 million budget.
Yeah.
March 25th, 2025 release date. Big names attached. The big question, though, is this going to be, a fresh, empowering take on this classic? Or is this...
Or is it just another remake we didn't ask for?
Yeah. Another unnecessary remake.
Right. So, in one of the articles you sent, I think it was from Film Monthly, they were really making the case that this one is all about, like, agency for Snow White.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they highlighted Rachel Zegler, obviously from West Side Story, huge talent.
Right.
And they were saying, her casting, it's deliberate. They're really trying to show a Snow White that's more proactive. And I think even just from the trailer,
Oh, absolutely.
you can kind of see that.
Yeah, you see it right away. She's not waiting for a prince to come save her.
Nope,
She's
right.
like, let's rally the dwarfs. We're taking back the kingdom.
That's a very different Snow White
So different.
than the 1937 one, for sure.
Totally. And then there's Gal Gadot, who...
Oh, wow.
I mean, Wonder Woman, right? And now
Yeah.
the evil queen. It's
The big shift.
a huge shift. Some of the articles you set were even like, can she pull this off?
I saw that. I think Variety said it was, what do they say, a risky gamble?
Yeah. Yeah, like, are people going to be able to see her?
Right, because she's so associated with,
With the hero.
the hero, exactly. I
Sure.
don't know. But the trailer, I think there's like a darkness there. You can kind of see it
Oh, yeah, for sure.
underneath it. It's going to be interesting to see how they balance that, the charisma and the...
Yeah. And also, what about the queen's motivations?
Yeah.
Like, is it just, like, pure jealousy? Or are they going to go a little deeper? Maybe societal pressures and
Totally.
why she feels so threatened by Snow White?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot there.
Yeah, some of the articles touched on that. I think it was The Hollywood Reporter even mentioned, like, they might explore her insecurities and fears, especially
Interesting.
aging and those expectations on women.
Right. That would add a whole other layer to it.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Speaking of expectations, what about the dwarfs? I mean, in the trailer, they get a little moment there, like they're standing with Snow White, united.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder if they'll have, like, bigger roles in this one.
It's possible. There's been a lot of talk about, representation, inclusivity in this remake.
Right.
And the dwarfs are, well, they're right at the center of that whole conversation.
Sure.
A bunch of the articles you sent, I think The Guardian especially, they pointed out how the original, the way they portrayed the dwarfs, it was
Right.
pretty problematic, relied on a lot of harmful stereotypes.
Right. So are they going to try to address that? I mean, do you think they'll give them, like, more agency?
Yeah.
More depth, move away from those stereotypical...
I think they almost have to, right?
Like, yeah.
I mean, one article, I think it was IndieWire, they even suggested, like, maybe they'll reimagine the dwarfs completely.
Wow.
Different names, backstories, motivations, the whole thing.
That'll be interesting.
It's a tricky balance, though. I mean, how do you honor the original, but also make it work for,
For today.
today's audience? Yeah.
And we can't forget about the music.
Oh, the music.
Yeah. I got chills when they played that little bit of Waiting on a Wish in the trailer.
Oh, for sure.
And Binge Pasek and Justin Paul from The Greatest Showman. I mean,
They're amazing.
it's got to be good.
Yeah, there was just so much buzz around that. I think Billboard called them, like, masters of modern musical storytelling or something.
Yeah.
They were saying how good they are at, making songs that are catchy, but also, like, emotionally resonant.
Right.
It's hard to do. And then, of course, with a remake, you have that whole, like, how do you make it new, but also...
Keep the classic feel.
Exactly, yeah.
Did any of the articles say if they're using any of the original songs?
They are. There's an interview with the director, I think in Entertainment Weekly.
Oh, okay.
And they said they're going to reimagine some of the classics, but they're also adding new original songs.
Oh, cool.
To give it a modern,
That modern twist. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It seems like Disney is just, like, all about these live-action remakes now.
Yeah, they're really going for it.
Aladdin, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. And they've all done pretty well, box office-wise.
True, but not all of them have been, like, critical hits.
Right.
I think people are starting to get a little tired of the remakes. Some critics are even saying, Disney's just recycling old ideas, not coming up with new stories.
Yeah, I get that. It's kind of like they're playing it safe.
Right. But it works. I mean, people love nostalgia.
They do.
But how long will that last? There was an interesting opinion piece in The Atlantic. They were arguing that this whole remake thing it's a short-term strategy. Like, eventually they're going to have to,
Come up with something new.
yeah, if they want to stay, creatively relevant.
That's a good point. So the success or failure of this Snow White,
Yeah.
it could actually, like, change Disney's whole direction.
It's possible. I mean, if it's a huge hit, they might just keep churning out remakes. But if it flops,
Yeah.
they might have to go back to the drawing board. Start investing in original stuff again.
Yeah, it's like a make or break moment, isn't it, for Snow White and for, like, Disney and how they handle these classic stories.
Totally. And it makes you think, like, what does this whole remake say about what we want from fairy tales these days? Especially, like, the female characters.
Oh, yeah. There was that one article, I think it's from the Feminist Film Journal,
Yeah, yeah.
and they were saying the whole, like, damsel in distress thing just doesn't really fly anymore.
No, not really.
Especially now when you've got, Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, all these
Right. Totally different kind of hero.
powerful women.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were even saying, like, this new Snow White, the one who's more assertive and, takes charge.
Right.
It's almost like a direct response to that.
Like, what audiences want now?
Exactly. People want to see, a female character who's strong and resourceful saves herself.
For sure.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
what would Snow White do if she got to write her own story?
I love that. And it makes the whole film so much more, like, interesting,
Definitely.
It's not just a remake. It's like,
It's a reimagining.
yeah, a reimagining through, like, a modern lens.
You've definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too. It brings up a bigger question, and none of the articles really touched on this,
Yeah.
but, like, what kind of Snow White do we want to see in the 21st century? I mean.
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah. Do we want, like, the traditional image?
Yeah.
Beauty and grace and all that.
Or do we want something more? Someone who, like, challenges those ideas.
Yeah. Someone who's both powerful and compassionate,
Totally. Someone who takes charge, but also, shows her vulnerable side.
It's like this remake is making us all have this conversation,
Exactly.
and I'm here for it. Wow, we covered so much today. The cast, the music, what this could mean for Disney, and even, like, how fairy tales are changing.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. But now it's your turn. What do you guys think?
Yeah, what are your hopes for this new Snow White? What do you want them to keep from the original? And what needs a total reimagining?
We want to hear it all. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.